All right, all right. Hello, hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Baruch Pilcher, also known as the Insurance Plug.
And I am Tanya Scott Pilcher, known as the insurance professor. And today we have Karen Jacobs with us, one who has taken the insurance exam. And after she has taken the exam, she was called out to, what do they call it? Deployed.
Yes,
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the exam and then talk about how her experience has been as a new adjuster out in the field. All right,
Yes.
Baruch.
Yes. How you doing today, Miss Karen?
Hi, everybody. I am excited to be here. I usually like to hide behind the camera, but today I am in front, and I'm
Yes.
excited to be able to share my experience. And it's been an exciting journey. I'm very excited about it.
So let's start over. Okay, let's start from the beginning. And I'm putting on some lotion, so if y'all see me moving, that's just what I'm doing. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, what made you initially get into insurance? Also, um, how was your testing and exam process when you were studying and before getting your adjuster's license? How did all that go?
Well, I decided to get into the insurance industry because a friend of ours knew my personality type, and he said you would be a really good adjuster because of the way I think, the way I process things. And
Mhm.
so, I decided to go for it. And he talked about the amount of money that could be made. And I decided that that would be a good fit for me. And so I took your pre-licensing course, took the exam. And one thing I do remember, Baruch, I still remember that you would talk to us about how you look at the questions first and you try to eliminate the ones that you know are not going to be relevant. And
Yeah.
then you try to answer the questions with the ones that you think is going to fit. And
Yeah.
so that's how I still remember that because I had to take a test for the North Carolina State catastrophe certification course. Being a
Hmm.
deployed adjuster, I had to take that. So I was thinking about your test taking skills while I was taking an unrelated test, and
Perfect.
I
Perfect.
heard your voice.
Perfect. There we go. There we
Does
go.
it
I always
work?
tell all my students.
And it wasn't as bad as I thought that it
Mhm.
was going to be. We went over policy. Policy is very important. You have to understand policy. And it looks very overwhelming when you look at all these pages and all these verses and numbers. But we broke it down and talked about, each particular portion of it and really how it applies to real life scenarios, because that's what you're going to do as an adjuster. You're going to have to know the policy and apply it.
100%. 100%. Okay. Okay. So then let's go to the next step. So after you left me, and then you went to take your test,
Hmm.
how has life been after you getting your license and everything like that? What was the process that you were going through that you did to get where you are now?
What I had to do is I started applying for jobs with
Mhm.
different companies like Allstate, Progressive. It's a little challenging to get in the industry when you don't have any experience yet. And so I understood that catastrophe adjusting with independent adjusting firms is a way to get your foot in the door,
Right.
and that normally happens when there are major storms, when everything is on an even keel. They have enough staff adjusters to cover all the claims. But when we have hurricanes, like we had Debbie, then we had Helene, and then we had Milton right
Right.
after each other, that generated a lot of claims. And so they needed more staff to adjust all those claims. So
Right.
I got called 2 days before Helene actually started. And as Helene was coming up the southeast coast, I was driving down into Jacksonville and then driving west to Mobile, Alabama to start my deployment.
So, did you already have your application into that company and then they found you and gave you a call?
Yes, what you have to do is there are several different independent adjusting firms. One is Pilot Catastrophe, one
Hmm.
is Alacrity, one is Eberls. I think there's Best RS. They're Mile High adjusters. I think there are quite a few. So what you have to do is you apply to them. Some of them offer you training modules. so that you can go through and learn about property and auto adjusting. I got my State Farm certification, which actually looks good on your resume also. State Farm property, Xactimate, and auto certifications. And then I went to Pilot. Pilot has modules online for customer service, auto, property. They teach you about roofing, Xactimate, but they also have a 7-day Inside Adjuster Academy course. And once you take that course, it opens the door for you to get hired whenever a deployment opens. And so I took that course in August of this year. I applied last year, but I didn't get through. And so this year I reapplied, got in pretty quickly. You have to pass the class. And once you pass the class, then you're eligible for deployment. And I think I finished the class on the 20 something of August. And by September, I was called to go be deployed.
So there's a lot of work outside of just passing your insurance exam. Once you pass the exam, then put your app in with these companies and then see what they have available.
Yes.
So I went to if I went to Pilot or Eberl, then I have to, after I put my app in, I got to look on their site to see what other classes they offer, or are they gonna tell me that they offer those?
They will do both. They will tell you which courses are required. And some of them are prerequisites for additional courses. So you have to take, like, for example, the Inside Adjuster Academy, I had to complete all of their prerequisite courses, which were several. And I did that last year. And then this year, I got into the Inside Adjuster Academy, which was the last step I needed to take to be deployed. And you also have to get your licenses for different states. And being a catastrophe adjuster, the more licenses you have, the more attractive you are to the adjusting firms. And so I have like 5 or 6 licenses, and you want to be strategic in getting the licenses that have the highest demand, for claim management. For example, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. Those are some of the top ones. Because we have a lot of hurricane activity. So those are the ones to get.
So I'm going to think about, I want you to talk to me in reference to those people that are struggling and they get their license because they hear there's so much money in this business, but they're not making no money yet. So they're like, what do they do?
Well, I would say get on as many of the rosters as possible. Take the trainings.
Those are free?
Some of them are free, some are not, but on Pilot Catastrophe, most of them are free. And then that Inside Adjuster Academy, which is 7 days, that one is free. And it actually is worth money. It's the kind of class that you would be willing to pay for if you had to. I've heard that Alacrity also has a good training program. Eberl's has a good program, but it, to me, is not as good as the Pilot. Pilot has one of the top training academies. And the other thing about Eberl's is that when you get on site, they start offering you training too. So there were days when we would actually look at policy language and start learning how to apply it. For example, with trees, how trees are not covered under your policy, but there are ways that tree debris can be covered, or removal of a tree that damages covered property. Those things can be covered under additional protection. So we do things like that. We've gone over Xactimate estimating, which is very important because you have to know how to use Xactimate and create these estimates. So we do that. When we create our estimates at this point, someone else who's above us will review our estimates and give feedback before the estimates are authorized for payment. They monitor our calls. And so if there's something that we're doing well, they give us feedback. If there's something we need to correct, we get feedback. We have something called a daily huddle every morning, and we go over different, policies we need to know, using the software that we use for managing claims. There's just a lot of training, and I actually really appreciate. I am just very grateful that I got this opportunity to become an adjuster, work with Pilot. The circumstances that create this opportunity are not not pleasant. It's not pleasant to think about the fact that you have an opportunity because other people are dealing with a serious loss. But at the same time, I realize that I don't create the storms, but
Right.
I'm here and prepared and available to give people the highest level of customer service, give them compassion and empathy, make sure that I am knowledgeable about their coverage, that I accurately assess their damage, and I give them the highest level of coverage based on what their policy allows, and get their estimates done quickly, accurately, and get money in their pockets. That's what we are told. We are told to fast track the claims as much as possible, get money into people's pockets as quickly as possible. That's what we're told. We're not told to hold money back or figure out ways not to pay. That's not true. We actually are fine. And even if somebody doesn't mention something, like I'll look in pictures and I might see something they didn't claim, and I'll say, well, I noticed that you have a ceiling fan that fell. Is that something you'd like to claim? I noticed, are you able to live in the home? We have additional living expenses, like being familiar enough with the coverage that you ask them questions and not just wait for them to tell you what they know.
So, first of all, Karen, I want you to tell people what city you live in.
I live in Savannah, where I was impacted by the hurricanes also. Yeah.
So that's important. You live in Savannah, and a lot of people were impacted in that area. I mean, our home in Savannah was also impacted in the storm, and we're dealing with claims and an adjuster that came out, and definitely they have worked to get us there. And we're going to have a part 2 on this, because what I recognize and what we get a lot of telephone calls about is, why is this happening? How come my deductible so high? I thought that this would have been covered, and then when I got this, I didn't know that. So we want to deal with that on another call. Today we're just kind of talking to people today in reference to the career and what they need to go through in order to be successful as an adjuster. That is just more than passing the insurance exam. That after you pass the exam, then you got to get your name out there. After you get your name out there by reaching out to all of these different companies, you then may have to take some classes.
You will have to take some classes.
And some of these classes that you have to take some of them aren't free, correct?
Some are not free, and they're extensive too, because the last class I took with Pilot, that was 7 days, 8 hours a day. I think it was like 9, literally like the weekend and night. And we had homework. And so that was like a week of not being able to do your regular work and earn income. So you have to be prepared for that. That it's I call it an investment, but it really does open doors for opportunity, because you can get your foot in the door, make a name for yourself. And in this particular industry, it's very unpredictable. So the increased volumes in claims comes with like weather related, events. Like right now we've had the hurricanes. In a few months, they will have the freezes throughout the United States, snowstorms, that type of thing. And then I think there's another season where they have hail. So some people do this throughout the year. You might work a few months and then you're off, and then you work a few months and then you're off. That's what some people prefer to do. But you have to understand that it's unpredictable. So you could be called at any moment. You don't know how long you're going to be working. Like right now, I have been here since October 27th or 28th. Well, on the first or second week of October, they hired about 600 more people in anticipation of a lot of claims because of Milton. There was Helene and then Milton. Helene and then Milton. So they didn't have as many claims. So a lot of these people got released after they had been there. Like they give you a minimum of 2 weeks. So some of the people came in, had no claims at all. I've had claims the whole time. And so I've survived 2 cuts. And so what I've been told by some of the people who've been there is that for me to still be there as a new adjuster is an indication of how well I'm managing and handling the job. Because a lot of times when you're newer and you have less experience, you're one of the first ones to get released from the job. But I'm still there. So I don't know how long I'll be here. but that's a reality that people have to be prepared for also.
So you're in what city now?
Mobile, Alabama.
You're still in Mobile. And
Mhm.
you went to Mobile when?
October 27th. I was driving into the hurricane.
27th August.
I'm sorry, September. September. The dates are rolling around. It was September, the day that Hurricane Helene was coming up. I was driving into the storm in blinding rain, literally.
So, okay, so you've been there, you've dealt with people with the storms. Now, when you're as an adjuster, the type of adjuster you are you working inside or are you
Yes.
working outside?
I'm an inside adjuster, and I'm in the investigative section. So they have several different segments. So I'm in investigation. They have condo, they have supplements, which are adjusters who deal with attorneys and public adjusters. I think we have supplements for people who, have already submitted estimates, and then they're requesting additional, payment for additional damages. We have a division for personal property, like when people have large personal property losses. There's a division for that. There's coordinated, outside. We have several different segments, but I work in investigative.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I got a question. We're coming close to the end because I know we're gonna do a part 2.
Mhm.
But the number one question that everyone is asking is really two. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you the first one. Okay, the first question that everybody is always asking is this a great time to get into this type of industry?
I would say yes, I'm here because I started the process last year. I didn't make it through because I didn't get scheduled for the Inside Adjuster Academy class, but I just persisted. And this year I did get scheduled, and they're offering more classes for that, throughout the year now. So it's easier to get into the class. But I do think it's a good time. There are some people saying that the industry has changed. It doesn't pay as well as it used to. But from where I'm sitting, it's still a good opportunity, and you're providing a service for people. You
Right.
really are, because when somebody files a claim for a loss, they need somebody to process that claim. They don't want a robot. They don't
Right.
want AI trying to process. They want a human being who can relate to them and who can understand and empathize with them and work with them and help them work through the process. And so there's a need, for, insurance adjusters who are, have a heart, who are knowledgeable, who are dedicated to providing service. So I think, yes, there's still a need. It still pays pretty well. And if you want flexibility, it's a good opportunity. And the other thing is, once you get one of these positions, then it's easier to be called back. So now that I've been deployed and I have good performance, that means that there are other opportunities that can open. So Pilot has what they call daily claims. So that means I could get an opportunity to do daily claims, not just catastrophe. That also means that I could apply to other insurance companies like Allstate, State Farm. They hire, claims adjusters. Now that I have some experience and can say that I've actually managed claims from the beginning to closing them, that opens more doors.
Okay.
And I've also had people who've worked claim for as an adjuster, and then they start working for FEMA as program analysts, and they make, quite a bit of money. So it's like a stepping stone. That's what I'd say. It's a way to get your foot in the door, get experience, gain confidence. Because when I first got there, I was so afraid of everything, so afraid. But I worked through it, and now I'm a lot more, confident in knowing what I'm doing when I'm, talking to insureds, when I'm doing the estimates. It's a learning process. I have learned a lot in a short period of time. And I will say, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity. And I
Okay.
do clients in Savannah. I'm dealing with people in Savannah.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
that's perfect. That's perfect. The second question that everybody wants to know, and you don't have to go into too much details on this,
Mhm.
but how for your last deployment, how long were you out? And from the time you were out, how much did you make on that deployment?
Well, the last one was 7 years ago, and that was only 6 weeks, and I made 14,000 in 6 weeks, and that was entry level. And I didn't really do very much claim handling then. I really did not get good experience, but this time I am. So now
Talking
We
about this time, the time
oh
that you
this time.
just did.
This is like about 3,000 a week, something like 3 or 4,000 a week.
And how many weeks were you, I guess,
I'm still
working?
here.
Oh, you're still there. Oh, then you going
I
on
told you to
past
be.
your third,
Yeah,
fourth week.
yeah. I've been here 4 weeks already.
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep,
I
and they pay
wasn't
everybody well.
lying. Okay. I was telling the
Yep,
truth on
yep,
this is that's what you can make.
yep.
Okay. So
That's
um
like 16,000 a month.
yeah,
It
16,000 a
can be.
month.
It depends on how many hours. Like right now, they're cutting the hours a little bit because I normally would be working today, but they cut the days off. So we are getting, and your overtime days 1 through 5. Your first 8 hours are at whatever your hourly rate is. Your last 3 hours of the day are overtime, and then your 6 and 7 days of the week are completely over. That's 11 hours of overtime. That's why it's so much money because of the overtime. So
Mm.
you're working. You're supposed to be committed to working 12 hours a day, but on weekends they will give you a shorter day if you're caught up on your work. And then as claim volume slows down, they'll give you a day off. Like last Sunday, they sent an email saying, okay, who wants a day off Saturday or Sunday? So I took off Sunday. This week, they told us we were taking 2 days off because things are slowing down. So I would rather be here with fewer hours than be released.
So
Because
how do you make it when again I'm still going to deal with these new agents that come out
uh-huh.
and they get their license and they happen to be fortunate and get deployed, but they're
Mhm.
still lacking on money, but they went on the deployment. So did they have to have money up front, like for someplace to live?
That's a
What?
good question because I actually drove here and I was one of those people.
Okay.
And so I actually used Klarna Afterpay to pay for like hotel and stuff. But I found out after got here that you can get a payroll advance. And it's best to ask for it before you leave because if you don't ask until after you get here, it takes longer. You have to get admin to submit a request. And, if they drop the ball, then it takes longer. So you can request an advance before you leave.
That's
Oh,
good. I didn't know that
see?
at all.
I didn't know that either, but when I got here, networking with people, being nice, somebody told me, and that helped me because you don't get your first paycheck until 2 weeks. You have to wait 2 weeks, then you get paid every week.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and
there's an advance. That's great.
they have a 401k program that you can contribute to. So I am contributing to the 401k, and I think you will be eligible for profit sharing if you've been here up through December 31st. So I don't know how that will work out, but there are some opportunities to invest in your retirement planning.
Awesome. That is so good. So I think we've asked most of the questions that people want to know. Number one, they want to know whether or not this is really a lucrative business,
I
Yes,
still
what
think
definitely.
cash
so.
you can get in.
I
And
still think
you think so?
I
And so,
still think so.
yeah, and it's still up to them to be able to stay on. It's still all about you, your education, how you deal with people, how you deal with claims that
Yeah.
continue your employment someplace.
Yes, you get an
So,
opportunity, and it's up to you to prove yourself and
right.
put on as many rosters as possible because I'm only on a couple. So right now on my day off, I'm working on getting on more rosters because that opens more doors. So if one company has already deployed everybody they're deploying, then there are opportunities with somebody else. So that's the other thing.
And are you considered an independent adjuster, or are you in this? I don't know. What's the other?
Okay. I am actually an independent adjuster, but we are W-2 employees now. There was
Okay.
one time when independent adjusters were 1099s, but now we're W-2. And the other side of that, I've been told, is that you can apply for unemployment in between deployments. I don't know what the numbers are because I think it's like you have to work a certain number of weeks. I don't know that answer yet, but I do understand that that's what a lot of people do. They work the deployments and then they file for unemployment in between.
Gotcha.
And there are people who work all year with breaks. So it is
Awesome.
possible.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Karen, is there anything else you want to share with our audience? Because we're going to kick this over into our Facebook group where people are trying to get their insurance license and trying to pass the test so that they know that there is an opportunity out here in this industry?
I would say there is an opportunity. You just have to have a plan. Get your test. Test is the first step, and you don't have to know everything in order to be able to pass the test. And then from there, get your licenses in the states. There's a list of licenses that they actually recommend to make you more marketable, so you can be deployed. If you get deployed and you don't have a license, you can get an emergency license for certain states if you need to. And I would say get on as many rosters as possible, so that you can, have more options, more opportunities open to you.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
And
Okay.
don't pray for storms. I know people pray for storms. I don't pray for that. I don't. I actually trust in God that God is opening doors, creating opportunities. I don't have to wish for somebody else's misfortune in order for opportunities for me to be open. That
100%.
yeah.
And there's enough worldwide and state catastrophes that happen. There
Yeah.
are rivers that overflow. There are so many different things that happen in all over the country that adjusters
Right.
do get a chance to stay busy. Uh,
Yes.
Unexpected fires in the summertime. There are so many things that happen in the United States that can cause a disaster or a catastrophe on someone. So
Yeah.
no, we don't need to pray for anything. Things can happen
They do
just by living.
happen. They do happen.
You can drive along and have an accident, and
That's true.
that causes an adjuster to come out too in your automobile.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
All right.
Okay. We're gonna do a part two on this
Okay.
because I know there's gonna be more questions that they're gonna have that they're gonna ask us definitely after we post this one. So
Yeah.
we'll get the questions gathered around that. If you are watching this video, make sure that you do ask questions. If there is more questions, like I said, we're gonna be doing a part two on this. But other than that, the biggest thing that Miss Karen did was she got her license. So if
Yeah.
you want to be just like Miss Karen in her same position, making $3,000 a week,
Yeah.
technically on vacation, because she
After
got a day off today.
yeah.
So she could go do whatever she need to do today and out in another city. So that's personally, that's my life. I would like to live.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you got any more questions, you got any more concerns, you know where to find us in our Facebook group, ABCs to Passing the Assurance Exam and New Agent Success. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at our names, which is Baruch Isaiah Pilcher, and Rook the Truth. Okay, so if you ever need anything, and then I think yours is it's Tanya Scott,
It's Tanya
correct?
Scott on Instagram. And then we are beginning to come live now inside of our YouTube, which is Get Skills Training. And I think it's something about the insurance professor, but we'll make sure that we put all of those links out there so that you can find us and gather this kind of information. And Karen, we thank you
Yes, we
so
do.
much. Thank you for being a part of our classes, and thank you so much for just being our friend. We
Well,
appreciate
you're welcome. And Tanya, you gave me good advice in the past, and I followed through, and it helped me to get, where I forgot I have a Texas license too. But yes, you helped me. So thank you.
so welcome. All right, you guys, have a wonderful afternoon. And again, we look forward to doing this again with you, Karen, just to help people know how to file, what to look at once they get this claim back from their adjuster and how to handle that, because they don't know. I promise you, people don't know.
They don't.
They don't know how to read their policies. They don't know what's happening, and it is so important that they understand. So
Yes.
we'll do this again real soon.
All right. Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Everybody
Talk to
have a
y'all
good
later.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
And he just jumped right off.
Was trying to hold in a cough. My asthma has flared up. So anyway.